inflammation is a normal healing repair process in its acute form in your dog's body, but chronic inflammation, now that is a whole different ballgame. It can lead to all sorts of health problems for your dog. And when it comes to autoimmune diseases, inflammation is at the root of all of these. So whether you're aware that your dog is suffering from some type of health problem related to inflammation, or you have no idea, today I wanted to look at the top 7 causes of inflammation in our pets, and more importantly, some ways to treat these naturally. So stay tuned to learn more. Hi there, it's Lyndall Pinchin, Canine Naturopath from Canine Vitality. Welcome back to the channel, Happy Healthy Dogs. If you're used to being here, thanks for being here again, guys. Hello. If you are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe and check in for more great videos. So let's just dive in straight away with our top 7 causes of inflammation today. Number 1 will be no surprise to any of you, and that is gut inflammation, heads up the list. So, gut inflammation, what does this look like in your dog? It might be something like the autoimmune disease, inflammatory bowel disease, or other gut inflammations such as gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, or similar. Now, usually food is triggering this. This might be foods high in omega-6, like vegetable oils that are often found in kibbles. It could be too much chicken or other food sensitivity. But it could also be antibiotics and steroids, even if your dog has only had 1 round of either of these drugs. Now, both of these can lead to damaged gut flora, which in turn will cause the gut to be inflamed. Now, this can lead to leaky gut, poor absorption, further allergies, and other autoimmune problems, infections, and more wide-reaching health conditions, all based around inflammation. Now, did you know that cabbage is one of the best gut foods, especially when fermented as in sauerkraut? So if your dog's got an inflamed gut, you can consider starting very small amounts of this fermented veggie. Start very small and slow, as it can cause a bit of gas and bloating initially due to the fiber within the cabbage. Now, the fermenting does make it much easier to digest and makes it very rich in probiotic. So if this doesn't suit your dog though, consider wheatgrass powder. Now, while wheat does contain gluten, wheatgrass powder doesn't. Now, it's rich in chlorophyll and other healing nutrients that can really help heal the mucous membrane and cool these tissues. And finally, for gut healing, zinc in the form of L-carnosine is very helpful to heal those gut tissues, especially when they're ulcerated. Now, zinc is well known to help heal mucous membranes generally, and in this form, it can really stop the irritation and ulceration associated with inflammation. Now, the dose for this form of zinc varies from 30 to 60 milligrams 1 to 2 times a day, but if you're not sure or you need more help with that, please feel free to reach out. My details are below. Number 2 is stress. The stress hormone cortisol is the main anti-inflammatory hormone in your dog's body. So how does this happen? Now, although it might sound strange, a lack of cortisol comes initially from your dog having too much cortisol in their system. This often happens when your dog is under a lot of stress from either physical or emotional stress, where large amounts of cortisol are being released into the body but are not being utilized. When there is too much cortisol flowing through the bloodstream, the receptors that would normally take up that cortisol become resistant to accepting the hormone, and therefore there's this excess in the bloodstream. Essentially, there is plenty there, but it just can't really be used properly, and conditions that end in itis, such as arthritis, pancreatitis, etc., are often linked to this lack of unused cortisol. Now, did you know one of the best anti-inflammatory vitamins is vitamin D, as this is actually a hormone which acts very similarly to cortisol in the body, and I will talk more about vitamin D later. Number 3, allergies, no surprise either. Now, this could be food allergies such as gluten, proteins, etc. Environmental allergies like grasses, seeds, dust, all fall within this, and as well autoimmune diseases, which is where the body shows an allergy-like response to its own body tissue. Number 4, now does your dog have recurring or chronic infections of some kind? Now this can be something that comes and goes by going into dormancy and coming out when your dog is under stress. The stress can trigger this, and then the infection occurs, causing inflammation. So managing your dog's stress level is key here to help avoiding infections from continually recurring. Number 5, glucose, blood sugar, and other foods that turn into glucose like kibbles and white carbohydrates such as pasta and rice. Now, the impact of glucose on your dog's body is twofold. Firstly, it raises the level of glucose going into the bloodstream, and this causes the cells within your dog's arteries to become quite damaged and inflamed. As this heals, it will often result in the formation of plaque in the arteries. Now, plaque is a combination of proteins, cholesterol, and calcium, which will then build up in these arteries, which is the beginning of conditions like heart and brain conditions like heart disease, strokes, seizures, even eye damage, including cataracts and kidney inflammation too. But secondly, the second problem with glucose, of course, coming from these wrong types of foods is that when you have these high levels of glucose in your dog's bloodstream, this will cause the level of insulin to go up. And much like earlier when I talked about cortisol being resistant, it is the same for insulin. Now, because the body is not able to utilize these high levels of insulin from the pancreas, it pumps them out even more to try and fix the problem. And this causes inflammation. So for dogs on that standard commercial diet, or even those that have a combination of kibble along with other foods, including grains, they are in a constant state of inflammation due to this glucose insulin cycle. Number 6 is too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 fatty acids. Now, too much omega-6 does lead to inflammation in the body, especially if it is not balanced out by adding in good levels of omega-3 fats such as oily fish and fish oils. Now, omega-6 is found in commercial foods in the form of all sorts of vegetable oils such as cottonseed, soy, canola, sunflower, corn, and safflower. In addition, too much grain and legume in the diet will increase the level of omega-6, as does a lot of chicken, especially if not organic. And while small amounts of omega-6 are beneficial for your dog, our dogs usually get way too much of this fatty acid and not enough of omega-3 to balance the ratio out. And finally, number 7 are environmental toxins. Now, look, there are so many chemicals that our pets are exposed to daily, from medications, chemical flea, tick and worming products, medicated shampoos, household cleaning products, smoke, fumes, gardening chemicals, and so on and on. All of this chemical load has a tendency to place the body under further stress, and this once again leads to inflammation. So where possible, look to reduce or avoid altogether as many chemicals in and on your dog's body. Now, this includes avoiding too many vaccines, changing from chemical to natural flea, tick and worming control, feeding a natural diet, avoiding those processed foods and treats, offering filtered water, looking to use more natural cleaning household products and garden products around your home, and so on. Now, while we're never going to eliminate 100% of these chemicals, reducing as much as possible can really help reduce that inflammatory response and free radical damage in your dog's body. Okay, so we've talked about 7 causes of inflammation. And what are some of the things now that we can do about it? Now, one of the most important things to make sure in your dog's diet is that you're including green leafy vegetables and veggies in general that are rich in antioxidants, as this will help counter inflammation and free radical damage that comes from that inflamed system. Now, your cruciferous vegetables, especially your broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage, as we've already talked about with the gut, are excellent to help keep a lot of those antioxidants and other nutrients in the system. And of course, small amounts of fruit, especially berries, are highly beneficial for the same reason. Now, if your dog's got a yeast issue, it might be best to avoid fruits for a period of time, but quite often berries, being so low in sugar, can be fed in very small amounts without an issue. And if feeding raw veggies, which is preferable, make sure you are blending or pureeing them down into a pulp so your dog can digest them properly. Now, remember, I also mentioned earlier about vitamin D. Now, this is a highly anti-inflammatory vitamin or hormone, which mimics cortisol. So including vitamin D3 rich foods like oily fish and cod liver oil, eggs, keef, and kefir can help. But unlike humans, dogs are not really able to make much vitamin D from sun exposure. Now, research has found that it's your dog's gut bacteria or microbiome that helps the process of converting vitamin D3 into a form of an active form that they can utilize. So keeping your dog's gut healthy with plenty of friendly bacteria is key to making sure they have plenty of vitamin D to help reduce this inflammation. And of course, keeping the gut healthy reduces inflammation in general too. And you'll remember I mentioned some tips for gut health earlier. Now, when it comes to allergies, it's important to, of course, avoid things you know are triggering your dog. Now, sometimes there might be foods or substances that you are just not aware of. Now, some allergy testing like hair, saliva, kinesiology, and other methods might be needed to ascertain if your pet is allergic, and that can help there. Now, what about chronic infections? Along with vitamin D, look to add in extra vitamin C for those dogs, with including antimicrobial herbs too, such as thyme, echinacea, elderberry, garlic, etc. These will help fight infection and also support and balance the immune system response. Now, I like to add in also medicinal mushrooms too. And if you want some help with herbal formulas or remedies, feel free to check out my website or contact me in regards to custom blending herbs for these sorts of chronic infections. Extra immune support may need to be given over a period of months to help get on top of that chronic or recurring infection. So just be aware of that too. It's not a quick fix. Now, in regards to those glucose levels, look to remove all commercial kibbles and foods along with grains like rice, pasta, and focus your dog's diet around anti-inflammatory proteins such as oily fish and meats, veggies, as mentioned before as well. Now, this will help reverse that inflammation and the damage to your dog's artery, as I said earlier. Now, preferably feed a raw organic diet with raw bones, and that needs to come into that too. And you can boost that process along by adding vitamin E. Now, most vitamin D comes in the tocopherol form, but a better, stronger form is known as tocotrienol, and this can help reverse free radical damage and reduce that plaque buildup and damage in the arteries too. Tocotrienols reduce overall inflammation in the heart and body in general. Now, while you can get vitamin E in whole grains and grain oils like rice bran, we know that grains are not great for your dog. So you might want to consider that vitamin E in that supplement form for a stronger effect. And dosage will depend on what you're working on, but 50 to 100 IUs a day is general. For more specific dosing, once again, reach out to me if you need some help, and I would recommend probably giving this for a few months at a time, but it does depend on your dog's condition. Now, in regards to omega fatty acids, the main thing to remember here is to reduce all commercial foods and grains along with factory farm meats, as these all contain high levels of that omega-6 inflammatory oil. Increase omega-3 through the diet with your fish oils, fish, flaxseed, chia, hemp seeds, and some of those organic eggs are good too. Some of those foods to help bring those levels up. And finally, stress. Now, it's important with stress, of course, to reduce the stress where possible. But in terms of getting that cortisol more balanced, I love herbs here. Lots of adaptogenic herbs such as bacopa, ashwagandha, rhodiola, rose hips. All of these can be really helpful to strengthen the adrenal gland, balance that cortisol level out, and also help your dog's immune system, which is also affected here. And this over a period of months can really help bring that cortisol level back to balance and also reduce therefore the inflammation, because your dog's body will start to utilize it properly and get the anti-inflammatory effect of cortisol. Now, as you can see with inflammation, there's a whole lot of reasons why we want to get rid of it. It really can wreak havoc for our dogs, particularly when chronic in nature. Guys, I hope you found this information helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share the video to be able to get more free video content out there. And once again, as I said, if you've got a dog that is experiencing some sort of inflammatory problem, autoimmune disease, or anything at all, and you need some advice or help, please reach out to me. All my contact details are in the description below, along with my website for my herbal remedies. I appreciate you being here again, guys, taking the time to watch the video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch up with you soon in another video. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.